after I lost my mom, the biggest feeling I had besides like, how am I going to get up tomorrow without her was like, oh my gosh, all the magical things I've ever known in my life, the joyful things are done because I didn't know anybody else in my life who could quite do it the way that she did. I think through the sort of early days of grief and then finding out that I was pregnant and going to have my daughter and then having my daughter and grief hitting me again in such a weird way, like knowing that my mom would never meet her and, kind of all of that stuff, I realized that I had inherited her magic and that was the point of it. Like the point was she was doing it for her memories with us and she was doing it for our memories to later look back on. But what she was also doing is passing it on to me, knowing that it would be my job next when she wasn't here one day. And so it was really, again, like an active thing for me in grief to be able to go, oh, I'm not supposed to just be sitting here sad right now. I'm supposed to be creating magic for my new family.
As we begin the podcast today, feel your angels surround you and sing to you. You are a miracle. Your life is a miracle. The good that you choose to do today is a miracle received by other souls. And just because you're you, God, Universe, Source sends you big and small miracles this day and every day. Right now, invite your angels to guide you. Ask God, Universe, Source for what your heart wants. See it as if you're in the future and what you want is already yours now. And so it is. I love you and I'm so grateful you're here that I have some freebies for you. I worked with the angels to create 31 meditations that are going to make you a magnet for miracles. Get them free at theangelmedium.com. Want to be my angel? Leave this podcast 5 stars or a 5-star positive review, and I'll enter you into a drawing to win a free reading with me. Use the form at theangelmedium.com/contact to send me your contact info so I know who to call when you win. Use that same contact form to submit your angel stories, what you're struggling with, or a question, which I'll answer on this podcast or Instagram at Angel Podcast. That's theangelmedium.com/contact. Thank you for being my angel. And remember, angels and miracles are your birthright, and they're activated when you believe. So ask, believe, and receive your miracles. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the Angels and Awakening podcast. I'm your host and author, Julie Jancius. And friends, today we have none other than Jennifer Love Hewitt. Love the middle name.
Thank you.
If I could go back, I think I would include that in my daughter's name, just making sure she gets that love all the time. Yes. Jennifer Love Hewitt, if you don't know, is from I Know What You Did Last Summer, Party of Five, Ghost Whisperer, the 911 TV show. And she just wrote a book that everybody here who listens to this show is just going to love and adore. It's called Inheriting Magic, My Journey Through Grief, Joy, Celebration, and Making Every Day Magical. Jennifer, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I'm so glad that you're here. The book cover for this book is just so adorable. Your kiddos, your 3 beautiful kiddos, and you've got Christmas decorations and Halloween decorations and St. Patty's Day and Easter. And I don't know who did the artistry, like the illustration for that, but it's just gorgeous.
Thank you so much. So her name is Vanessa, and I found her on Pinterest. We were talking about like what the book cover was going to be, and I had lots of ideas, but I had to be magical with the name of the book, and it just kind of had to, I don't know, I just wanted it to look different than other covers. And I was scrolling, having my cup of coffee in the morning as moms do, breastfeeding my son, and I was like, whoa, who is this? And it had all of her art on it, and it led me to her Instagram. And so I was looking, so I called called my partner in the book and I was like, listen, we have to find this woman. And so I DM'd her and then we got a hold of her manager and I talked to her and told her what the book was about. And I was like, look, moms have to stick together. I need you to do this book cover. And she said, absolutely. And within like a day, she created kind of some ideas of what it might look like. And we shot it and it was amazing. And it was the first time kind of showing my kids and having them out there. But the book is so much about them and about our lives and dedicated to them that I felt like it was the right time. And she just did a beautiful job.
It's fantastic. I'm going to talk about another picture later on, but I
Oh, yeah.
wanted to find magic because some people, like, we're not religious on the podcast. We keep
Right.
it spiritual, but some people still hear the word magic and they think of something witchy or dark. But
Yeah.
you really use the word magic interchangeably with joy.
Yeah. Magic to me is joy. It's also, magic is an active word for me. It's like actively searching out ways to just take something that's ordinary and make it extraordinary. And it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be over the top. It can be really simple, but it's kind of a mindset of if you go into like a Thursday with like magic on the brain, joy on the brain, it's different than other people's Thursdays. And I think that that's an important thing to do. I'm also a realist, so I don't accomplish that every single day, but the goal is to try to do it as much as possible, especially for my children.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, the book is about finding joy again after the passing of your mom, who really seems to be like your best friend,
Yeah.
and really finding a way to create magic for your kiddos, even though your inner child is really longing for your mom to be right next to you on this journey of motherhood.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So after I lost my mom, and I say this in the book, the biggest feeling I had besides like, how am I going to get up tomorrow without her was like, oh my gosh, all the magical things I've ever known in my life, the joyful things are done because I didn't know anybody else in my life who could quite do it the way that she did. I think through the sort of early days of grief and then finding out that I was pregnant and going to have my daughter and then having my daughter and grief hitting me again in such a weird way, like knowing that my mom would never meet her and, kind of all of that stuff, I realized that I had inherited her magic and that was the point of it. Like the point was she was doing it for her memories with us and she was doing it for our memories to later look back on. But what she was also doing is passing it on to me, knowing that it would be my job next when she wasn't here one day. And so it was really, again, like an active thing for me in grief to be able to go, oh, I'm not supposed to just be sitting here sad right now. I'm supposed to be creating magic for my new family. I'm supposed to be falling in love with my husband. I'm supposed to be becoming a mom. I'm supposed to be doing all these things because if I just sit here in all this heaviness, I'm not doing what she wanted. And so it became this thing that really, I think, healed me in such an interesting way. And so when I was thinking about like at the 11-year mark is kind of when I started writing this book, or like 10 and a half years, like how I could honor her. I was like, this is how I can honor her. So I can kind of share this with other people so that maybe other magic makers are made from reading my experience and can kind of go out and create that in the world.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there was a point in your book where you talk about your mom having used magic in her own life to kind of
Yeah.
get through her divorce. And it seems like hindsight is 2020, where you had this realization like, oh, she was using magic along the way and just
Yeah.
creating this magic, not just for you kids, but even like the neighbors. You said on Christmas Day one year, she had snow like brought in into LA and like the snow
Yeah.
trucks, and she just sat and watched the kids all day playing in the snow, which is adorable. But that she really used creating magic to feel joy again in times of grief in her
Yeah,
own.
it was interesting. I was very young when my parents got divorced. And I can honestly say that until I was like maybe 18 or 19 years old, I don't remember ever seeing my mom sad about it or talking about it in a negative way or ever really talking about my dad in a negative way. Like she was just a person who created like a really safe space and I just knew that was my life. Like I didn't have two parents in the house, but I never felt like sad or heartbroken about that. I never really thought anything had gone wrong. Like she just wasn't that person. She moved forward, I think, in joy, and that joy kind of navigated her through probably, and I'm sure, now I'm 45, I look back, I'm sure my mom cried a lot and had, terrible moments and all that stuff, but that was not what I knew as a kid. And I think that was really helpful to me, because I think I was able to be a kid in a divorced family, that my reality was very different than others. It was still joyful and magical and fun. And that was another inspiration for me with the book, is I was like, oh, she's using that to get her through this time. And so I also should use magic and joy and thoughts for others to move me through what I'm going through. And so again, it was like she was, it was her way, I think, of kind of being here with me and holding my hand, going, okay, let's put our big girl panties on and like get through it now. Like, we're not going to sit here sat in this chair, which is very much who my mom was. So I'm very thankful for that.
Well, and what's interesting is like on this show, I had an experience where my dad passed. I wasn't talking to him at the time. He had started cheating when I was really young, and I
Mm,
held a strong moral bounds because I always seemed to be the one to catch it. And
sorry.
I know, but we were super close before then, and that soulful connection remained. So he started coming through. I was in this really businessy, professional corporate job, and so he's starting to come in from the other side. I'm like, all right, well, I've built up my career. Can't just go leave this and start a profession as a medium. Like, can't even say that
Yeah.
medium was raised really religious. But we talk about angel stories because they're
Mhm.
always coming through from the other
Yeah.
side. And what really struck me when I was reading your book is like, your mom is creating magic even from the
Oh,
other
yeah.
side with the angel stories that you tell in the book. Like, you used to live right across the street from one another. And
Mhm.
I think this is something that comes up for a lot of people after they have a passing of somebody close. Do I stay or do I move? Like, what does my
Yeah,
heart need? And when you moved to a place that you guys had actually looked at, you and mom
I
together.
know.
That's
It was
crazy.
no, it was wild. And I do think that, like, initially when I said I was going to move, it was like not very long after she had passed, like within weeks. And I think everyone in my life was like, you're nuts. You're in grief. You're jumping to conclusions. You're uprooting your whole life. But I had this very strong sense, and I do believe now in hindsight that it was my mom speaking to me, because I wasn't one of those people that saw my mom. I mean, I played the ghost whisperer, for God's sakes. I'm very open to
Yes.
this stuff, right? I was like, come on, lady, let's visit. Like, what are we doing? And I didn't feel her, like I didn't see her, but I realize now that, like, in the decisions that I made after her passing that kind of saved my life, I was communicating with her. She was with me. She was guiding me, and she was with me in the way that I needed, which is, to make hard decisions and to kind of like get myself into a safe place where I could move on with my life, and realize that I could, kind of live without her. But yeah, so we lived across the street from each other. And only one time in my 20s, I was like, maybe I shouldn't live across the street from my mom. Like, maybe I should do something. And we had looked at this place and thought about it for 5 seconds. And then I chickened out because I was like, no, I really love living across the street from my mom. And she does my laundry and makes me dinner when I'm tired after grocery store. And like, we hold hands in the morning, and I don't want to move. So I didn't move. And when I was looking for places, I completely didn't even realize that was the place until it hit me when I was there. And it was literally one of the only places in the area that I wanted to be in, because it was far enough from where she and I had lived, but it was in a part of the city that I knew. And I say this in the book, but I got there and it was like at the very top of this like condo thing. And the woman said, we call this one the condo in the sky. And she
Wow.
was like, and we call it that because it's the closest to heaven. And I said to her, I was like, my best friend's in heaven. And she was like, well, you'd be pretty close here. And she just kind of like made it as, and there was no part of me that was like, I literally moving bags. I'm like, and we'll take it. And I think people thought I was nuts, but I knew that was where I needed to be. And it's just really interesting.
It is, because it
Yeah.
doesn't just happen one time. Like, your book is laced with these angel stories. I love this one. I gotta tell it. Atticus, your second baby boy, or your second child, first baby boy.
Yes.
But he and you are like watching TV, and you see this clear blue pregnancy commercial, and you gotta tell this story.
Yeah, so he was like, "Hey, mommy, you should get one of those and pee on a stick like that. What if you have a baby in your belly?" And my first thought was, "How rude! Like we just ate dinner. I'm in my like, okay, so maybe I have a pooch. Like whatever. I've had two kids, you know." And I didn't know why he said it, and he like said it a couple more times that evening, and he was like, "No, no, no, like let's just check, you know." And the kids had mentioned before, like, "Oh, it'd be so fun if we had a sibling or whatever." So I just like never, I felt fine. Like I literally felt nothing. With my son, with Atticus, I knew I was like, oh, I might be pregnant. I should check, you know? I had no symptoms. Like there was no part of me that thought that this was happening anywhere. But it was because of what he said that I was like, okay, I'll check. And so I secretly checked and didn't tell anyone in the house. And it was like pregnant, like real big, real fast. And I was like, and he still says, he was like, I fully sensed it. He was like, I knew it was happening. He's very sensitive. All of my kids are, but Atticus is like, he's very in tuned to things. Like he'll know just when to like put his arms around me or, you know, whatever. But yeah, it was wild. It was just like one of those things. I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
here we go.
It's so funny because when I do readings for people, sometimes the spirit will come through and be like, okay, well, we're bringing you the hummingbirds, or we're bringing you the
Yeah.
cardinals, or we're bringing you this. And then some spirits come in and like, bring you all of them. We bring you all the signs. Like every sign that we can bring through, we're bringing through. And that just feels like so your mom, that she
Yeah.
brings through everything everywhere all the time, so that she's just there, that you feel her
Yeah.
presence.
I really do. I really do. And more than ever, you know, during this book, during like the writing process with my kids. And it was really interesting. My biggest fear, I think, for my kids is that they wouldn't know her and that I wouldn't be able to tell them like enough stories for them to like fully understand who she was. Because my mom was a force. Like she walked in a room and for whatever reason, like people in the restaurant would want to turn around and look at who had just walked in. She would be friends with 50 people before we left. Everybody was exchanging, "Hi, Pat," you know, and I'm like, what are you doing? But I didn't know if I could like get that across to my kids. And it is astounding to me how much they feel her. Like they will come to me and say, "Oh, I know Mimi was with me today," or that hummingbird was there when I fell off the apparatus at school, and I looked up and I knew I was fine because Mimi was like they. I don't even have to keep her alive for them. Like they feel her, they know her, and so much of her is in each one of my kids in like such a different way that like my daughter will do things and I'm like, whoa, that was my mom. Like that's so weird. It's so weird. But it's beautiful. It's
Mhm.
beautiful.
Do you get glimpses of her? Because I kept feeling that as I was reading the book, like as you look at your daughter, you get glimpses of your
I
mom.
do. Yeah, it's like I see her face on
Yeah.
my daughter's face sometimes. Like it's very it's really wild, but it's special. And I do think that she's with them. I think she's with all of us, but I think she's with them and I love that they feel so connected to her.
Join me for these upcoming events. We're hosting the Angel Reiki Mediumship School live in person again this fall and spring. Event dates are up at theangelmedium.com/events. Space is limited. Reserve your spot today. And as a bonus, I'm giving you access to our 8-week online Angel Reiki Mediumship School so that you can get started as soon as you register. Don't want to come in person? That's okay. You can still earn your certifications in mediumship, angel messages, and energy healing in our 8-week online program with a new online class and Zoom calls starting on the first of each month. Did you know one Wednesday evening of each month, I host a free group prayer event open to all. And right afterwards, I teach you a new tool to work with your angels or loved ones in heaven. Sign up today free at theangelmedium.com/events, and we'll send you the Zoom link to participate. You'll also find details on our upcoming spiritual retreat, October 4th, 5th, and 6th, 2024 at theangelmedium.com/events. So excited to work with you. Now back to the show. So I love how you kind of go through the book and talk about different ways of how you create magic for your kids, but that it doesn't have to even cost anything. Like your
Yeah.
mom would come over to your house when you lived across the street at 4 a.m. so that you felt like love and support before you had a long day of work. She just come over and hold your hand. I thought,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, how special.
Yeah, she just wanted me to know that she was there. And, I've had an extraordinary job my whole life. And she was there so much, like on set when I was a kid, thank God, there to kind of like protect me and look after me. And as I got older, I think she just wanted to find new ways, to do that. And yeah, she would just come over and do that, or she'd, make dinner. Or if I had my heart broken, she'd put up Christmas lights in my room for when I got home to just kind of say, there's joy and it's okay. And yeah, she was just thoughtful, but like thoughtful in a way that I can't even explain. And so I try to do that with my kids. Like my kids they were just having a rough day the other day. Like they were fighting as siblings, and the baby was just kind of grumpy. And I was feeling sort of grumpy. I don't know if it was like a Mercury retrograde thing. I was like, I sensed it coming, and I was like, no. But we were all just kind of like grumpy. And I was like, we need a reset. And none of us slept well the night before. So I went and I got crystals, and I got this like cute little cauldron that I have that says magic on it. And I got some herbs out of the cabinet, and I like put out a candle, and we got a chime and a sound bowl. And I was like, everybody come with an intention, bring your magic to the center of this room, and we're just going to reset. And we just like called in our angels. We called in my mom. We called in goodness. We would breathe out all the stuff we wanted to let go of and breathe in. And it was amazing. It was like, it cost nothing. It was just stuff in our house. It was silly stuff. They've made wands before. So I had to bring their wands, and they all pointed their wands around. And, it was just cute. And the baby was like, magic, we're making magic. And I was like, we are. And it was just a thing, but instantly, like you could feel the room change, and they felt protected and looked after, and they didn't feel judged for the grumps. And I didn't feel judged as a mom for also being cranky and grumpy. And we just had this moment. And I will tell you, we went to sleep. We all slept like 13 hours. We slept so good. We felt so calm. And I got up the next morning, and the kids were like, we should do that more often. I'm like, we really should. Like, it was great. But it was just about being thoughtful about it and kind of bringing them into it in a fun way that like changed the whole dynamic. And I really believe in that.
Absolutely. Well, you feel energy. That's
Yeah.
what I teach a lot of people how to do this work and how to step into it. And everybody has different spiritual gifts. But if you can feel into energy, it is the foundational work to then be able to receive messages and get that
Yeah.
information. The energy feels different. So I've taught over 600 people how to kind of tune into their own
Oh,
gifts.
will you teach me? I
I
want to.
actually have that. Your mom had me write down some messages, and she had me write down, Julie offered to do a one-on-one private teaching
Oh,
with her to connect with mom more. Yes.
yes,
Yes.
please. I would love that. Thank you.
Yay! Oh my gosh. Of course. Of course.
Yay.
One of the things that happens though is as you're teaching people how to feel the energy, people perceive it different ways. So when I'm in people's energy, I feel it like as heaviness, like you can feel a
Mm,
heavy, dense, thick energy, or it feels like very airy and floaty, just like a feather, very soft, light.
mm,
And I think that that's the energy that we're swimming in every single day as we navigate our lives and talk about like a household of kids and
yeah.
partner and yourself. You have all of these just different energies kind of floating and mixing together. And you have to be in tune with those different energies because all it takes is an awareness of it and an
Mm,
intent to bring in that magic, to bring in that joy. And as soon as you say, I want to shift the energy begins to shift and it's magic. It's just
yeah,
magic.
that's amazing. I've started doing this thing at night where I saw it like written down somewhere in a book. And I started doing this thing at night where I will give away the things that are not mine. Before I go to bed, I just say out loud, anything that's not mine, that's not meant to be for me, like messages that I've picked up today or energy that I've taken on today that actually doesn't belong to me, I send it back where it belongs. And then I replace it with stuff that's mine. And
Yeah.
mine is wanting to feel joy and wanting to feel good when I wake up in the morning and wanting to be productive and open to goodness and abundance and, all those things. And it's made a real difference for it. Because, the world that we live in right now, obviously, is woo, it's
Yeah.
chaotic. It's crazy. And there's so much energy, I just feel like, in the world at the moment that, like, if you're even the tiniest bit of a sponge, you're like at the end of the day vibrating. And so it's been really helpful to me to do that. It's like given me an act again, I'm an active person. So it's given me like an active thing to do where I feel like I'm just sending that energy that's not mine somewhere else and just giving myself a little bit of protection before I go to sleep. And it's made a big difference for me. I really like doing that. So I've been teaching my kids to try to do that too, like when they're in school or they're at camp, like just not to take on other people's stuff, and that it's okay to send love and light to those people, but like don't carry it, if it's not yours.
Yeah. I was just
Yeah.
talking about this yesterday. We had on Daryl Sabara. He was the
Yeah.
Spy Kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was saying that he just needs 20 minutes every day to get back into his own energy. And I feel like
Mm.
that's our soul's energy, our soul's frequency. It feels like home. And when you
Yeah.
can get into that, it's just, I don't want to say like ground zero, that kind of gets mixed up, or different energy, but just like square one, like it's
Yeah.
just home. Your home space of energy feels like heaven. And from there, then you can kind of take on the day and always get back to
Right.
your own vibration. But yeah, like starting the day with getting into your own vibration and ending it just makes me feel more at home while I'm living.
Yeah, same. And I think it's important because when you're not in your own energy, you're not in your own journey,
Yep.
right? We only get one. And I think we feel like in order to connect with other people that we have to take on their stuff. And one thing I'm loving about being in my 40s, and I wish I had learned it earlier, but we take a long time to learn these things, is I'm learning that that actually isn't the case, that like I can care about people and let them have their thing, and their energy can be over there and mine can be over here. And it doesn't mean that I've connected with them any less. It just means I choose not to accept that energy into, who I am,
Yeah.
which is hard to do. But I'm trying to get my kids early. I'm trying to teach them early this lesson so that they can have a longer period of joy in their life.
Yeah, no, I love
Yeah.
it. I like to think about it like I don't know, I like to call God all that is because it just resonates with me.
Yeah.
And yet we're kind of like a droplet in the ocean of all
Mm.
that is. And I was watching this documentary, I think a year or two ago, and scientists said that there isn't just one infinity, there's infinite infinities. And
Oh, wow.
spirit, yeah, isn't that like just
Yeah.
um spirit goes at that moment, and every soul is its own infinity. And I was like, oh, I get it. Infinite souls exist
Yeah.
here together all at the same time. And I was blessed to get to do a TED talk this year. And they make you do just a ton of research and like go through all these
Oh,
interviews.
that's so cool.
Yes. And so as I'm doing this research, I came across this statistic that 90% of people pass away with regrets. And the biggest
Mm.
regret is not doing something because they worried about what other people would think. And spirit goes, turn that around. Like 90% of people aren't living. And if they just focused in on what they want and follow that, it would create a life of miracles and magic and blessings and opportunity. But it takes us being willing to say, like, this is what I want. And to your point before, kind of allowing each soul to have its own journey and not try to
Yeah.
do it for them. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so interesting. Yeah. I think about that a lot. I think about like, not like in a dark way, but I think about a lot like, have I done all that I've like really wanted to do? And there's so much obviously more that I want to do, but I do feel like I have being in the entertainment industry, as silly as it is sometimes, it is a brave choice, right? To like put yourself out there no matter what other people think all the time. And I've done that for so long in my life, and I've gotten so much greatness from it that I feel really happy that I've done that. But like, even, putting out the book and all of that stuff, again, it's like, what are people going to say? Are they going to be like, ooh, foo magic girl over there? What are they going to do? But at the end of the day, like, I just have to do it. I felt like called to do this book. I felt like I had to put it out. I felt like I had to honor her in that way. I had to do it for my kids. And so here I am, like, I'm doing it, and we're going to see what happens. And, I'll try to do this with the noise. But yeah, I do believe that. I do believe that if more people were just like willing and brave enough to just do the things that they wanted to do with no worry of the judgment,
Yeah.
we'd be happier for sure.
One of the things that I love too in your book, you talk about that your kids came to you, which is just adorable, and asked to do vision boards.
Yes.
That's so fun.
Yeah, it's really cute. We do it every either New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, because they see me doing vision boards. I'm constantly like pasting things and whatever. And with me, they've been really lucky to see that like I do manifest things in sort of a fun way. My husband makes fun of me. He's like, I don't know how you do that. He's like, if I wrote something down on a piece of paper and put it on a wall, like it would stay on the wall. He's like, I don't know how it comes off the wall for you. It becomes a thing. And I'm like, because I believe in it so deeply. So they've seen that. And yeah, they like, they love to make their little vision boards. They cut out their words. My daughter, it's very much like, wanting to be a strong woman and like find great friends and manifest like goodness. And hers is like vibes. And with Atticus, it's like hot blonde girlfriend. Oh. He would love you. Learn to be the world's best boxer, make the baseball team, whatever it is. But it's great. It's like, again, it's active for them, and they love it, and they check in with their vision boards. And we literally just were talking about this 2 days ago. They were like, Mommy, it's almost fall time. They were like, you know what that means? Got to start thinking about what we want to manifest for 2025. And I was like, yeah, you do. I said, I'm already on it for mine. But it's really cute. They really believe in it. It's
Oh my
so
gosh.
cute.
Yes. And, I've gotten to the point where since I was like 16, 17, I've always just, if I see something in a magazine, I have to get it because I want that picture, that vision
Yes.
makes me feel so much energy. So I've got pictures and like collections of just different things that I love I'm 42. So for years. And
Yeah.
I finally got to the point where I was like, I can't fit this on a board anymore. So last week I took all my pictures and I sorted them and I made a manifestation wall, which I'll send you a picture of if you want to see it.
Please do.
Yes.
That's amazing.
It's down where I work out so that I go down in the morning and I do like my 10 minutes on the rower while I just visualize all of this good
Oh,
stuff.
that's great. I saw somebody on Pinterest, which I think is genius, and I really want to do it, who took an acrylic table and like put all of their manifestation stuff on, and like affirmations on an acrylic table, and then covered it with an acrylic piece on top, and it's their dining room table.
That's amazing.
Isn't that awesome? I want to figure
Yes.
out like who can make that for me and how to do that, because I just think that would be so awesome to just take like words,
Yeah.
words and maybe some pictures. But like, after I started doing this thing, after I finished Inheriting Magic, I started doing a book for my kids. And so I take little prayers that I find, affirmations, like little thoughts on siblings and how you have to depend on each other for your whole life because you never know when your parents are not going to be, all that kind of stuff, and things that like inspire me in my life that have like taught me how to manifest or whatever. And I'm making them a book, and I've been cutting out all of these things, and it's going to be sort of like not their manifestation board, but their manifestation book. And it's got all of these thoughts and like how to say little prayers and how to do these little things. And so I've been making it for them along the way, because I felt like my mom sent me a very strong message to be like, leave this behind for them one day, hopefully not, anytime soon, but like one day, so that they'll have it and they'll know all the things that you felt and thought of and wanted and used in your life to kind of do these things. So I'm like, I don't know, I'm like 75 pages in already, and I've only been working on it a few months, but I have like all these things for them. And my daughter's constant, she's like, well, just give it to me now. And I'm like, no, you can't have it now. Like, I will give it to you when you go off to college. And then when your brothers go off to college, I'll have to send it to them and I'll be like sisterhood of the traveling pants and you guys can pass it around and learn all the things that you need to learn. But it's been really fun to kind of figure out the things that like inspire me the most and put them in a book for them, which I think is nice.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
had this vision, I gotta tell you, when I was reading through the book of I heard very clearly you're gonna do a second piece because I have a
Ooh.
13-year-old and when they get to be like your daughter's 10, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So when they get to be that age, I think it's just so fun because they understand the world more. You
Yeah.
get to show them more. Oh, that's the other thing. As I was reading through the book, your mom said to tell you, a lot of people say we don't take anything with us when we go from this world to the
Mhm.
next. But she goes, that's not true. We take our experiences, we take our memories, we take our connections, we take
Mhm.
love. And I could really see you putting together like a teenage inheriting magic. Um,
Oh,
yeah,
oh, I would love that. I would love.
yeah.
Yeah, I do think it's important for that age because they tend to stop believing in some of the things that they believed in when they were little and need new things to find to inspire them. So yeah, that would be amazing. I would love to do that.
Yeah, so, so fun. One of the things that I wrote down too, which is just a harder thing to talk about, but I think so many people go through this and have a
Mhm.
similar story that it's important to. Your mom had cancer. You felt like you shouldn't go on this trip to Monaco. You kind of had that intuitive hit internally, but she really begged you to go. So you
Mhm.
go, you get 3 text messages as soon as you land. And so often, I think that I'm not saying this right, but like we think about death from our own perspective of like who we lost and how we feel and just this void that we feel through that grief. But when I do my sessions, when loved ones come through from heaven, they really show it from their perspective. I don't know about you, but when I was going through my wedding and actually just giving birth, I didn't feel like I had as much control as I wanted. Just other people wanted this. So I was like, okay, well, let's do this. And some people wanted to be in the room. And I'm like, I don't really want you seeing my hoo ha, but okay, like if you want
Okay.
to see a birth, okay, here we go. But passing and that transition of being on this side and crossing to the next, you really are in full control as a soul of that. And I had this moment this summer where we were at Disney and I was looking at my daughter and you know how like when they're babies you're like oh no I can't see the baby in them I see the toddler and then you get to that next stage and you're like oh no I can't see the toddler anymore because I see the kiddo and I just glanced at her and I was like oh my god I can't see the girl like I see the woman. It just broke my heart because I thought I only have 5 more years with you being here and I just can't imagine it. So I say all of that because I can't imagine being 105 years old and losing my best friend,
Mhm.
as my daughter being hopefully 75 years old. And I wouldn't know how to let go of
Mhm.
that relationship. And I really felt that very strongly as I was reading your book that your mom did not know how
Mhm.
to let you go. And I don't know that she could have if you were in the room with her.
I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you. It took me a long time to get to that. I think in those first, so the thing that I don't necessarily write about in the book, only because I just didn't need it for everyone to have, because it was my moment. So when I got on the plane and I knew that I was coming home, I was like, I'm not going to be able to sleep. And something like overtook me on the flight home, and I fell into like this very deep sleep. And I woke up in the middle of the flight and I said to my friend who was next to me, I was like, my mom just died. And he was like, you don't know that. And I was like, no, no. I said, I feel it. I was like, I think she's gone. Like it's really weird. And I just started like sobbing uncontrollably. And he took it as she's losing hope. And I knew very much in my body that we had disconnected somehow, like that thing that I felt, that like invisible string that we have with our children and that maybe I didn't fully even understand at that moment, it had been cut somehow. And so then when I landed and I like heard the airport in the back of my brother's phone, and I knew I had to get off the plane, and ultimately that she wasn't there anymore. I was so angry for such a long time. Like for those first few months, I was so angry. I was just like, I just don't know. And I was angry at her, honestly. I was like, how could you like, out of all the goodbyes, it should have been us that got to say it. You know, we were together every day, lived across the street. Like we were, you know, that. And then one day I realized that it wasn't about me. And I was like, oh, that's right. It was her journey. It was her life. And it was her choice. And it was her moment to say goodbye. And I wrote about this very briefly, you know, kind of in the preface of the book, where I realized we could not have said goodbye.
Yeah.
And the truth is, if I'd been standing there in that room at that hospital bed looking at a mom that I didn't know, who could no longer create joy in that magic moment, or, you know, look at me the way that we had, you know, I would not have been able to let her go. And I don't think she would have been able to let me go either. And so I think that I was sent on that trip ultimately for the goodbye, and for her to be able to end her journey the way that it was supposed to end. And I just had to get out of my own ego, I think, which was also really hard to do. But when I realized that and I was able to kind of sit in that for a moment, I was able to start healing, because I was able to separate from the kid feeling of like, that was my goodbye. Like, why, you know, like very much like the toddler reaction of, no, I'm not saying goodbye this way. And I was able, I think, to kind of step into the adult part of it and go, oh, it wasn't about me.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, this is probably the only way she and I would have been able to do it. And didn't make it easier or better. It just made it possible to move forward from, I think. Yeah.
So you did play the Ghost Whisperer for
Yeah.
beautiful show. And I know that sometimes people, and especially in the entertainment business, like we're working on an angel show right now. And so I know like working with producers are like, let's go this way. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Like this is the way that I want to go. They can make it ghosty, but it's not. Like it's
Yeah.
connecting with your mom. It's just love. There's a moment in the movie Interstellar where Anne Hathaway talks about that connection of love doesn't die. It crosses
Mhm.
all dimensions, and it does. And it's love. How do you still connect with mom?
In the moments I'm with my kids,
Yeah.
in truly investing in them. I mean, again, since having my kids, you know, people joke all the time. They're like, she's a mom first. And for them, I think it's like kind of pointing a finger at me, being like, why do you want to be so much of a mom and less of an actress? And, you know, all of that stuff. But for me, it's like the greatest compliment in the world. So I think in connecting with my kids, in making them a priority, and in always trying to find things a little bit magical, trying to inspire that kind of feeling in people that she gave me, but also in just, you know, quiet moments. Like I just know that I know she's with me. It's weird. I'm a big, like, I connect with her a lot in the middle of the night for whatever reason. And I'll just kind of feel her like there, and I'll sort of look off into space and be like,
Yeah.
okay, I see you. Like, that's fine. And yeah, rest here at the end of the bed. It's cool. And it's kind of nice for me. Or, you know, I will talk to her. I have a picture of her that she loved in my closet. And it's in there because my mom loved to give me fashion advice and it always drove me crazy. And so now I'm like, now you're stuck in my closet forever. And you have to watch you make all these choices you don't like. Ha ha ha. And it's like my joke with her. So she's in my closet, like in this beautiful picture. And I will always, my kids go in every night and they go, good night, Mimi. And they say good night to her every night. But I talk to her a lot in there. And my husband's always like, are you going to the closet to talk to your mom? And I'm like, I'll be down in a little bit. So we have our moments in there. And I know that she can hear me because stuff will shift.
Yeah.
Um, you know, like either like really strong direct things will happen, or I'll feel like the energy shift within me. So I know that she's, you know, I know that she's kind of there and listening. I had a big connection with her writing this book. I really felt like I needed to let go of some more grief, and I just was stuck. I didn't know how to do it. And oh man, like the first probably 4 months of writing this book, I just sobbed all day, every day, like trying to type and trying to write. But I knew that it was her there with me and that we were writing it together. And I knew there were moments where she was like, well, don't say that message, like say this one. And, I would go back and be like, okay, you're right. We got to reword that. That's coming out weird. So I very much felt like she was with me during it. But I did have such a funny moment when she passed. I was like, okay, I'm the ghost whisperer. Where are you? Like, make the chair move, do something. I was like, of all the people, you're not going to show up for me. That was very funny.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Well, she is. She's there all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to do a one-on-one for you because I'll teach you like different
Me
stuff. It'll be so much
too.
fun.
Me
Yes.
too.
But it's so funny. Isn't that the truth though with mamas and daughters? I had this point where I was at Target one day. My daughter was probably like fourth or fifth grade. And I was like, she doesn't like to try on clothes. Like I could take her friend shopping all day and they would go
Yeah.
shopping, but she doesn't like to shop at all. She likes me to buy clothes and kind of bring it to her. At least she did.
Yeah.
And then she'd try it on and I can return. She doesn't like. So I was sitting there at Target and I was holding up two things and I was like, well, I would get this. Like, I love this. And I was like, I would not get this. And so I was like, oh, ding, 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 ding. Pick the thing that I wouldn't get because that's the thing that she's going to
Yeah.
love. So I brought it home. Like, okay, I'm going around Target. I'll get this. She doesn't like, I wouldn't wear, and this. And then she loved it all. And I was like, oh,
That is so
hallelujah.
typical. My daughter will be like, hey, do you like this one or that one? And I will on purpose pick the one that I don't like. She's like, great, me too. I'm like, of course, absolutely. Just don't even ask the question.
Nope. Isn't it so funny?
It's just who we are. We have to be that way.
Yeah.
But now
Yeah.
I'm more like my mom. So like
Yes.
now later in life, I'm like, oh, that was ugly. What was I thinking? She was totally right. It's really
Oh
funny.
my God. Hysterical.
Yeah.
But I love that you see mom
Yeah.
in the closet and get to spend some time with her. Tell everybody where they can find you, your book. I love your just energy, Jennifer. You're such a
Thank
soulful
you.
person and you are creating magic within this world.
Thank you.
My eighth grade, middle school, and high school self would just be going off the wall right now that I am sitting here with you. Yes.
Yay. Well, yeah, you can pre-order the book. Barnes and Noble, Amazon, I think Target, all that you can find links on my Instagrams. I have a Holiday Junkie Instagram, the Holiday Junkie, and then I have a Jennifer Love Hewitt Instagram. The book will be out December 10th. I hope that people will, I don't know. I feel like it's a book that you read, but then it's also something you like put on your shelf, almost like a cookbook, and you go back to it like on a day when you're like, oh, I need magic today. And then you can like go and find a page and let it speak to you. So hopefully it's something that people will hold on to. I also think it's a great gift for friends to inspire them in magic and to, know a little bit about like not feeling alone in grief and kind of finding your way out of it, which I think is an important tool. And I made a Christmas movie actually dedicated to my mom. It's my first time making a Christmas movie. My mom loved Christmas movies. I love Christmas movies. For Lifetime, that will be coming out called The Holiday Junkie. That'll be coming out later this year. I don't know the exact date yet, but look for that. And it's dedicated to my mom and some of the stuff that I talk about in the book, including making snow for random people is in there and all of that. And yeah, it's just, she's around, she's having her moment. And my mom would have loved that. She would have
Oh,
loved to have been front and center and for people to be taking notice of how amazing she is. So she's having quite the end of 2024. She's very excited.
already on the other
Yeah,
side.
she's
Yes.
throwing premiere parties and book parties and all kinds of things.
Oh my goodness. Well, I think in life it's just so easy to be negative or just like talk negative. And this book is just so positive and uplifting. And it's not just about grief, but I think that you could read it with your kids and just
Yes.
so much as a family. So if your grandma, mom, dad, grandpa, get this book, read it with the kids. And you're right, it's great to do with friends too. Cause I think if you're another co-mama, and
Yes.
it together
Do
and
some of the ideas in the book. And everybody should get into moon water. You'll know what that is if you read the book, but everybody should
yeah,
do that. It's really
and
fun.
themed dinners. I love the idea
Yes.
of themed dinners. Yes,
Yes. Yeah.
amazing. Well, Jennifer, thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
I'd love to work with you if it resonates. Book a reading to get messages from your angels right away. Or join my membership or my Angel Reiki Mediumship School. What's the difference? The Angel Reiki Mediumship School certifies you in mediumship, angel messages, and energy healing all at once. Some join simply to develop all of their unique spiritual gifts to the max, and others want to start their own spiritual business. Both are perfect. You can take the Angel Reiki Mediumship School online with Zoom meetings or in person in Oak Brook, Illinois, in November or April. Bonus, when you register for the in-person Angel Reiki Mediumship School today, you also get the 8-week online program free with Zoom meetings included, so you can literally start today. How is that different from my membership? My membership gives you everything you need to care for and nourish your soul. The fact is, our world neglects the soul. Most people only attend to their own soul when they have a big life crisis. But your soul is not a problem to be solved. Your soul is starving to be seen, heard, nourished, and cared for. Your soul is speaking to you, and it wants you to hear it. That's what my membership does. It nourishes your soul. It shows you there is an entire universe living within you, how you can access your own angels, messages, and live a life of wonder, magic, enchantment, and miracles. At your request, we've changed the membership so that you can join anytime, any month. You can purchase readings, the school, my membership, all over at theangelmedium.com. As we close today, ask your angels to be with you and allow these messages to speak to your heart. Your angels say you are connected to the universe, and the universe is connected to you. All you ever need is within you right now at this very moment. Stay true to yourself. Don't betray yourself by going against the intuitive feelings you get. Trust your own inner wisdom. Why? The world needs you. The world needs you to dream big and for you to discover what's possible for yourself. Step into the energy of all that you are. Smile, laugh, and allow your heart to be healed. Ask your angels to bring you big, big miracles, prosperity, and to open big doors. Believe in miracles. You have a big purpose, and friends, inspiration is everywhere. Everywhere you look, there are people in need of help, love, and support. Find a way to be of service. Start right now by asking yourself, what good shall I do this day? Love is who you are. Joy is your nature. Remember, God only ever has 3 answers to your prayers. Yes, not yet, or I have something so much better in mind you can't possibly believe it. Nothing is impossible, and nothing can stop your determined soul from succeeding. Now go about your day and expect the most wonderful things to happen.